a distinguished gentleman, a longtime contributor to MediaPost. I just was reminded that this gentleman has been at every single one of our summits, email summits here in Deer Valley, 11 straight. And in various guises over the years, something called Silver Pop, which was acquired by IBM. And now he wants to be called by the name Lauren McDonald Watson. He just told me that. Apparently he's got something going there. We really appreciate his friendship over the year. He's a columnist for MediaPost all these years. And without further ado, we're going to provide a proper kind of introduction for Lauren McDonald.
No sound.
Fox approached IBM and they said, well, we have this movie coming out. It's called Morgan. So we thought, let's send Watson to film school.
Morgan was our little breakthrough.
Skip, don't go in there, okay?
Oh, what?
Don't you go down there, Skip!
Don't be afraid, Amy. I have to go say goodbye to Mother.
Here you have the whole of the Morgan movie, and you can see where action is taking place.
Watson is the tool that's helping arrange the visuals, but it still needs the human element. So then I can come in and just supervise the creative aspect of it.
It's still very difficult to think of how a computer might be capable of original thought, something that's essential in creativity.
So in 1986, I was working at a PR firm in San Francisco, and one of my clients was the large management consulting firm now known as Accenture, and one of the partners I worked with was a technology partner working with the banking and insurance industries and focused on artificial intelligence. So one of the first articles I ever wrote for a client was back in 1986 about how artificial intelligence was going to disrupt the insurance industry. And so here I am on stage 30 years later actually talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the reality is the truth is close to this quote. That's one of my favorite quotes that I use lately, which is, things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen faster than they thought you could. And I think that's true for a lot of things in society and technology today. Whether I'm a big follower and fan of renewable energy, and so I think that's what we're going to see with solar and wind, but we're also seeing it in a lot of other technologies like artificial intelligence, right? That they're emerging, the experts think it's going to happen, but then again, it takes oftentimes 10, 20, 30 years longer or more to come to fruition. But once it does, it tends to explode. So the other thing I spend a lot of my time researching and tracking and focusing on when I'm not on stage at marketing conferences is tracking what's going on in the auto industry. So I'm going to use kind of the auto industry and what's going on there as an analogy. It's kind of throughout some of my presentation today. And so there are 4 major trends that are actually going to drive draconian change in the auto industry, unlike anything it's ever seen in 100 years. Okay, and it's electric, connected, shared, and autonomous. There's a 5th and 6th. China is going to be a major disruptor, as well as robotics and changes that are going on with manufacturing processes. But these are the big 4 that are actually driving incredible, insane change in the audio industry right before our eyes. You may not know it, but it's starting to happen right now. And if you live in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Singapore, London. If you live in a major city around the world, in probably around 2025, plus or minus a few years, again, it depends upon culture and regulations and stuff, you will most likely not own a car. You will subscribe. You'll have a subscription to a car service, a ride-sharing service, right? All that on-demand concept. It will be electric. It will be connected to other cars. They will talk to each other as they're going into intersections. They will know what each other is doing. And the most significant one is that you will not drive it. It will be autonomous. It will be self-driving. Okay? The question is not when, the question is not if, it's just a matter of when. Okay? Unless, of course, you're Chris Marriott, right? Then 20, 30 years from now, you'll still be driving your coal-rolling Ford F-150. All right? He's a little behind the times. Anyway, thanks, Chris. We love you. Yeah, yes. But so the question is, and the question that I posed in the title of today's session, in essence, is are we going to see something similar in our industry, in marketing, right? Will marketing go driverless, if you will, go autonomous? Will marketers be out of jobs in 10 years, like the Uber and Lyft drivers? And I know there's a couple people, there's actually somebody from Uber and Lyft here today. And the fascinating thing about Uber and Lyft is that they're doing everything they can today to hire more drivers to scale the business. At the exact same time, they're trying to get rid of them. Right now, Uber is testing driverless cars in Pittsburgh. Yesterday, they just acquired another autonomous artificial intelligence company and launched Uber AI Labs. Right, so there's this sort of mixed thing going on. So if you don't believe this is going to happen, it's already happening in Singapore and a lot of different places. So the question is again, is that going to happen to us? Or is marketing going to start to follow suit of what's happening in the auto industry? Will AI and machine learning replace the marketer as we know her? So in 1984, there was a TV commercial. Hopefully everybody in this room has seen it, whether you saw it then or alive or not. You're probably familiar with it. It's considered perhaps the best TV commercial of all time, and we can argue about that. And many of you probably have noticed the irony in that I'm up here on stage with a slide with the IBM logo on it when this commercial actually was making fun of IBM, because IBM was the target of this commercial. It was Big Brother. It was 1984. But the point is that this is one of the most creative pieces of marketing ever, right? This was created by humans, is considered, the best of the industry. And so the question I ask you is, could a machine make an insanely good piece of marketing today, like that 1984 commercial? Or for us in this room, great, amazing email marketing, or display ads, or whatever it is, right? Could a machine actually create those amazing, amazing pieces of marketing? And I'll let you think about that and sort of answer it. I tend to believe no, not yet. As we saw with the Watson trailer commercial, we can get close. We can get 60, 70, 80% there, right? But as that director said, you still need the human to actually take what the technology, what the machine, what Watson could sort of come up and piece together using sort of big data and machine learning. But you still need that human kind of be the driver. And so cognitive systems require, they need to be trained. That's why it's called machine learning. But they need to be told when they're doing things right, and then we need to be told when they're doing things wrong. And in marketing in particular, machines are not brand experts, right? Machines do not necessarily, at least yet, understand your tone of voice, your brand. They're getting there, right? And they can sort of learn that. But at the end of the day, machines aren't really good yet at understanding what is sort of the right brand essence and tone for your particular brand. I'm not going to call them out. I wrote a MediaPost column a couple weeks ago called Have We Forgotten How to Market, right? And it was based on me seeing a very large retail brand in particular, but a lot of retailers just use basically shit, since we're using that word a lot, shit subject lines. And one of them, I didn't know it at the time, you know, I sorted my inbox on it, and to me, the subject lines were just absolutely horrendous. And what I didn't know is they actually were created by a machine. I found that out later. But they could have been created by a human, because most of the retail emails I see in my inbox are free shipping and 20% off today only, right, with 2 exclamation points or some variation of that. We can do better than that, my folks. So it's not just about machines and humans, right? But, you know, so machines can only get us so far. And Ginny Rometty, the CEO of IBM, talks a lot about this concept, right? That it's not about it's about man and machine, not man versus machine, right? That while technology is going to replace certain types of jobs, like if we're seeing it in actually like the auto industry, if I go back to that example, right? So if you've ever seen a video of like the Tesla factory, right, there's 1,000 employees, so there's still people there, but there's hundreds of robots. Because why? Because robots can build a car and do spot welding and different things like that more efficiently and faster than a human. But they still need humans to write the software. That too someday computers will write. But they still need humans to sort of manage the robots and the different sort of processes. So there still is going to be that role for humans, I think, for a fairly long time. So the question for us in the room is, as marketing leaders, how do we prepare for what is inevitable? That more and more of what we do over the coming years, 5 years, 10 years, what we do as marketers is going to be done by computers that are insanely smart, right? These machine learning, artificial intelligence-based computers that can do so much of what we've done historically with marketing. Because like it or not, it's going to happen. So what to do? So as Ryan, where's Ryan? Oh, he just walked out, of course, as soon as I call out his name. There he is. So Ryan gave me shit for using the term motional for several years. I've sort of run out of being able to use that, so I had to come up with a new term. So today I'm launching center brain marketing. Okay. What is center brain marketing? So it's really just this idea that as we think about where marketing is headed in the different sort of disciplines and the sides of our brain, that historically when we think about marketing, we've probably thought of right brain, right? That idea that as marketers we go into a conference room and brainstorm, we write on a whiteboard, we come up with concepts, subject lines, whatever it is, we map out campaigns and stuff, that it tends to be that right part of our brain. We're very sort of creative driven. We're creating that brand emotion, trying to engage with customers. But at the same time, over the last 10, 15 years, right, technology has almost kind of taken over marketing, right? We're in a room full of technology vendors. But increasingly, as we've heard today, we have to work with IT. We have data scientists, right? We have all these people that are actually using a different side of their brain, okay? And as we heard a lot yesterday, we tend to be very siloed. Right? They tend to be in different floors of the organization, different parts of the organization. We don't necessarily work that well together. So what's got to change to me is this concept I'm calling center brain, which is really the idea that as leaders, as CMOs, VPs of marketing, et cetera, we have to make sure that we're in between these people and these concepts and we're bringing them together. And we're bringing them together not just as sort of the teams, but also within the individuals. So if I go back to, again, the 90s, because I'm old, process reengineering, change management really exploded back in the early 90s, mostly because of technology and the emergence of the internet. Technology was causing massive disruption amongst corporations, and people didn't know how to deal with it. Right? How do we deal with all this technology and stuff? So most of the management consultants kind of circled around the concept of using sort of 4 different sort of cogs, if you will: strategy, technology, people, and process. That in order to transform a company, transform the organization, he had to deal with these four critical elements. You couldn't transition a company if you didn't get these things right. And the first one, obviously, is strategy, making sure that your company understands sort of the core basic of who you're serving, where you're going, the markets, all those kinds of things. And in our case, making sure that we have the right strategy in targeting our customers. In technology, obviously, making sure we're using the right technologies that have the right fit. And again, when it comes to marketing, it's not just about picking the right technology that fits with the size of our organization, et cetera. But as we get into this machine learning, and George and I were talking a lot about this, is it a technology that can actually understand our brand, our individual brand? And so when it's creating content and subject lines and things like that, it's consistent with who we are as a company and what we're trying to say in our organization. But most importantly, what I want to talk about is these last two, people and process. Because I think these are the single two most important things that people in this room are going to have to deal with the next 10 years with this change, is people. And it starts with A, hiring the right people, but B, also retraining the existing people you have. So if I go back to my previous slide and think about the sort of right brain creative people, okay, it's not just that they have to know what the hell an API is, but they're going to have to know how to talk to the data scientists, what questions to ask those people. They're going to have to know how to work with those left brain people in order to leverage that data and that understanding to drive the strategies that they're coming up with, the creative. But the reverse is also true, right? We can't just put this on the creative people. The IT people have to goddamn understand brands, and they have to understand customer emotion, because most of them don't today. If you talk to most engineering or left brain people, they don't understand why people will pay more for a product from a brand when they can get it cheaper from another one, because it doesn't work in their brain. They don't necessarily understand the power of brand and creating that customer connection and stuff. So as the leaders, we have to make sure that we're training both types of people to make sure that they understand the other side, right? So it's hiring the right people going forward, but it's also training and making sure that those different parts of the organization get the other part. So that's kind of the idea of center brain marketing, is make sure that we're not leaving these people in silos, but we actually put in place these sort of processes and things to bring the two sides together, because otherwise the machines are going to probably take over, and then marketing is actually going to be shit, right, if we just let the machines take over. So if I come back to answer my core question, the title of this session is Cognitive Technology, the End of Marketers and Marketing as We Know It. I'm going to go back to sort of my automobile industry analogy and say the answer is level 2 to level 4 autonomy. So what the hell does that mean? So in autonomous driving, there are 6 levels, 0 to 5. 0 being a car from 10 years ago, or 15, whatever, that didn't have cruise control. You get in it and the car can do nothing other than what you do with it. All the way to level 5, which is complete self-driving autonomy. Okay, the car does everything. The only thing the human does is say where you want to go. Okay, level 1, cruise control. Level 2 is like Tesla Copilot, where you get in a Tesla, you engage autopilot, and it will change lanes. It will maintain speed between you and the car in front of you, the distance based on what you've selected and stuff. Where I think we're going to head up with marketing is in the comparative 2 to 4 level. It's going to depend on sort of your organization, and it's going to depend on kind of the type of marketing program. So at some level, we're going to be all the way at level 4, which is going to be sort of automated programs and everything, that once you create that rule, it's just going to run and fly and learn and change on the fly. Think about a cart abandonment program. Right now, maybe you set up 3 emails with an offer in the first one, it goes out, etc. In the future, what it might be is you set up that sort of broad paradigm, but it's learning and understanding the offers and how people are responding to it, and the machine will just change. And maybe it'll add another email or drop one or whatever is based on what it's learning on the fly. And the only thing you will do is stop it if it's not working or something. It will sort of take on this. But I think most of where we're going to be is probably in this 2 and 3 level, right? Where, again, to go back to the auto analogy, we as marketers are going to be driving. We're going to be sort of steering and telling the machines what the program we want to do. Some of you know we're in Amelia Island when I played the video of Watson of where we're going. Where literally the marketer is talking to Watson and telling Watson what segments I want, build a campaign for me and stuff. And I think that's kind of that, sort of level 3 and level 4. Again, where humans are making the decisions, they're deciding what the technology is going to do, but then in the background, the technology is making sort of the supporting technology decisions, et cetera. So, going forward, as machine learning takes over what we do in marketing, what does that mean for us and our roles? It really means, for most of us in this room, it's actually a really good thing. Because we're going to spend less time pushing buttons and creating Excel spreadsheet sheets and stuff like that that's actually not very efficient. We're going to spend more time thinking and driving strategy and building brands and understanding business, right? Understanding the insight. We're going to be doing things that we all should be spending more time doing. But what it also might mean is the people that are on your staff that were not fortunate enough to come to the Stein Erikson Lodge with you, who are the people pushing the buttons and creating Excel spreadsheets that a machine can do more efficiently, are either going to be out of a job in 5 or 10 years, or we're going to have to retrain them. And so that's what we really need to start thinking about is how do we shift those people to do other more valuable things. So what's next? Watson Marketing is who we are and where we're going.
Todd Spoleto, president of the North Face. We are working on the prototype to match customers to gear.
Watson, let's give it a try. Say it's mid-June and I'm backpacking in Yosemite.
Of our 353 jackets, I can recommend 9.
Watson, what if it rains?
There is just a 3% chance of rain, so I recommend the breathable stretch fleece fuse form Dolomiti jacket.
A perfect choice, Watson. No wonder our customer loyalty numbers keep climbing.
I believe we can do even better.
I like the way you think.
Thank you. We are Watson Marketing. Should I go back to that?
All right.
There's the URL. So if you have any more questions about what the hell all that means and stuff, Michael Whalen, Michael, where are you? In the back, Michael's backing around. You might see him on the slopes. He's a new skier. He's very sore, but he'd love to talk with you.
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks. Any questions for Lauren while we have him? Quickly. We want to keep you from your activities. If you have questions, Lauren will be here tonight, tomorrow.
Indeed.
Okay. And Mr. Whalen will be here as well. So next year. Oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
Next year. Go on. You got to go 12 years. Got to do it. I spent more time with Lauren than I have my Aunt Linda. And I love my Aunt Linda. I love her.
What he doesn't know, I spent more time with Aunt Linda than him.
Okay. Cut it. Watson, too much information, Watson. All right. Big hand for Lauren. Thanks, Lauren. Okay. All right. So now we get into the rest of the